podcast about something where each week we dive deep into whatever it is we find interesting. I'm your host, Calvin, and joining me from the delivery room, the baby crying in the background, it's your co-host, Nick Richardson.
Oh man, what a scene! What a scene you have
Fresh
set, Calvin.
off a delivered baby.
Oh my god, that freaked me out. It freaked me out, man. Not like what I expected.
Nick's not actually in a delivery room, but we are talking about fatherhood this week on a podcast about fatherhood. Nick and I are both fathers, so we're going to talk about that.
Hell yeah, man.
Should be something.
It'll be a little heartwarming to all you fathers out there. You'll be able to relate.
It'll be heartwarming. It might be illuminating. It might give you some advice. Maybe not.
We'll see. Fathers to be.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that you can't ever give like full on advice to somebody else because and we'll talk about this, but like each kid is different. So I can be like,
dude, yeah,
just like what your kid likes, but at the same time I can't be like, well, my kid, when she couldn't sleep, I had to do this, this, and this because that thing is not going to work. Whatever I did, it's not going to work for you. I can tell you right now that whatever I did with my kids, not going to work for you. Every kid is different. That's the best advice I can give you. And you just have to feel your kid out. And to do that, spend some fucking time with your kids.
Summed it up. Boom. Done.
That's
here.
all we got.
2-minute
all the
episode.
music is provided by those cats. Check us out on
sassy.
Twitter. No, we got more. We're going to go in depth on being a father. So when did you first become a father, Nick?
I was in a delivery room around a year ago. Oh, well, my daughter is... I can't do math very well. She is 18 months.
There we go.
Yeah, she's getting big, very, very big. And
18 months to 3 years is when they get really big really fast.
I fucking hate it, man. I hate it. My little girl is the shit. And yeah, like I said, it was a strange thing being in the delivery room. It's all going down. You're like, what the fuck? What do you need that for? Oh my god, there's my baby. And then they're like, hey, do you want to change her diaper? It's like, yeah, okay, I guess. It's a fucking weird situation, man. I got a funny story about that. I'll tell a little later.
So I tried to pay as little attention as possible to what was going on. Like I was there with my wife. Stand up by the head. Best advice I can give. Don't go downstairs. It's not worth it. Did you go downstairs?
No.
Okay.
I found a point on the... Dude, this doctor's like, grab her leg. So
yeah, no, like I wasn't doing any of that. I let the doctors handle it, the nurses, whoever was there. I was just there saying, you're doing good, you're doing good. I couldn't tell you what happened between like the starting of pushing and when the baby came out. No idea. Like I was there. I was focused on whatever the hell was going on, but I was just trying to stay out of the doctor's way, stay out of my wife's way.
100%, yeah.
I wasn't out of the room or on the other side of the room, anything like that, but I was next to her being as much of a statue as I possibly could be, and other people would let me. If they needed me to do something, I was there for it, but I was just hoping they didn't need me for anything.
Yeah, dude.
Here's the thing. They're fucking doctors. They know what they're doing.
For the most part, they put a big ass mirror up on the ceiling, and unfortunately, the way it was, and this is Illinois, man. We're a little country, and it was odd because the way the room was set up, everywhere I looked, like I would literally have to close my eyes to not have that mirror somewhere in my periphery. So, I mean, I'm mostly just like stared at my wife, which had to have been such a weird sight for her, like. Between squinting,
yeah, you
she
can't
looks
just
up at
stare
me,
into her eyes as she's
fucking bald, face all red as shit, veins popping out and shit. Like, oh my god. Fathers, that's a good advice to you. Soon to be dads.
Don't stare your wife in the eyes as she's giving birth.
Yeah,
just deadlock staring contest with her.
If you're bald like me, try not to hold your breath so your face doesn't get all red. I swear to God, I looked like a cherry tomato. The doctors are probably like, get this fucking guy. Look at him.
This guy's having a panic attack over here. We're trying to deliver a baby. He's not even doing anything.
I was freaking out. It was a weird situation.
That's understandable. It's okay to have a panic attack. Try not to faint, though.
Oh, I did not, thank God. Apparently that happens pretty often.
Yeah. So my girls were born in 2014 and 2016. They just turned 6 and 4 respectively. For anyone out there who's bad at math and couldn't figure that out.
It took me a second.
Yeah.
Struggling.
Uh, but yeah, they're still growing. That 6-year-old is in kindergarten now, which is crazy.
Shit, dude. It's
Yeah.
As a parent, is it a little different or as a father, is it weird seeing your kid take that first step in like the chain of schooling, going to kindergarten?
Yes, and it was even weirder because she started the first quarter completely virtual, so she's home. It doesn't really feel like, she's going to school or anything
That's
like
fair.
that. She's home all day. We're very involved with her learning, and we can't keep up with it, just like how much they wanted us to do. It was simple enough that we could keep up with the lessons being taught, but we couldn't keep up with how much they were asking for us to do. And then, like a week before she was scheduled to go back in person, they're like, "Oh yeah, you don't have to be doing all of these assignments. These are just practice. Just do some of them every night. Make sure you're trying them. Whatever we don't get to in
What?
class, it's fine. Just do one or two." And we're sitting there doing like 5, 6 assignments a night, and they're just like, "No, you didn't have to do all of them. Would have
Why
been good
didn't you
information."
fucking tell me that?
Because the teachers were just as unprepared for it as we were, because nobody knew, especially in Florida, nobody knew what was going to happen.
Oh
They had to
yeah,
push
dude.
back the start date an extra 2 weeks because they just didn't make decisions. They were just like, fuck it, we'll figure it out when it comes, and didn't ever actually do anything for the 4 months that school was closed. And then it came time to be about to start, about 2 weeks before it was supposed to start. They're like, wait, we didn't prepare anything. So they pushed it back
Oops,
another two
sorry.
weeks and took that time to like formulate a real plan, and it still wasn't a fully realized plan, and the teachers were still changing. They didn't know how many kids were going in person and who was staying home, still changing back and forth on that. And it was, the first week was a mess, but it did get better each subsequent week. It just didn't feel like they got a chance to tell us everything they thought we needed to know, and didn't really, because a lot of it was just like troubleshooting with these kindergarteners who have never really used a computer, uh, and trying to get them to the places they needed to be,
Yeah, God,
more so than like actually working on the work.
that'd be so fucking frustrating. As an adult, it's like no.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that my daughter is, like I said, 18 months. She's still in daycare, and they've stayed open the entire time except for 1 week that they were not open. Other than that, I've been very lucky.
We had the option of sending her in person or doing virtual, and we wanted for the first quarter to do virtual to see how the school was handling any cases, or if they got 100 cases in the first 9 months of, or 9 weeks of school, we weren't going to send her in there.
Oh yeah,
But there was
definitely.
like 1 or 2 cases in that first 9 weeks, so we felt comfortable sending her back. They're wearing masks the whole time. They're really on top of if someone anywhere associated with the school tests positive, there's messages that go out right away. So they are very, they must have prepared better for the actual planning of what happens if there's a case than they did for what do we do with all these other kids that actually have to learn.
Right.
Because it does feel like they're at least on top of it.
Yeah, that's at least someone is on top of something in this, fucking day and age.
2 more months, man. 2 more months.
I got him. Here we go.
Listen to our episode on the election if
I
you
mean,
want more information on that.
yeah, I mean, it's just luckily still kind of not contested anymore.
uh, yeah, I mean I'm sure there's still going to be more bullshit that goes on, but let's not get into that.
Yeah, I digress.
Um, so going into having a kid, how did you prepare yourself? What is your best advice? So if there's a prospective father right now, he knocked up some unfortunate lady, or fortunate,
Sorry.
I guess, or
Oops,
fortunate.
sorry.
Um, what would you say? How would you tell them to prepare versus what you did to prepare? How did that work out for you?
I honestly, dude, I thought I was prepared as fuck. I thought I was like big hot shot, gonna be whiz bang dad,
Were you
and
like
that
Jim
lasted.
Halpert and he could diaper a football?
Right, I can diaper anything. Record timing, but so funny story. I read all the, big time dad books, which is like there's 3 or 4. There really isn't too many like big time helpful dad books out there. There's a
My
million
wife
mom
bought
ones.
me 2. I read 1.
I read
Most of
one,
1.
and then I started reading the second one. It was like, this is basically the first one with
It's all exactly the same thing.
right, like
Yeah.
this. The author seems very similar, but
Mine was like this weird dude bro type book.
Oh yeah,
Where
I
it's
don't
just
know if I
like,
like that.
bro, when you have your kid, you say like, yo, what up, kid? Here's a diaper. Let me slap that bad boy on there.
This beefy ass diaper, it's about to keep your butt so dry.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that bad. It was kind of helpful, but also not completely, just because it's kind of all surface. Like you said, it's surface level stuff. It feels like whatever the 4 or 5 books are, they put all the same information in them, but try and tell them with a little bit different voice or something.
Right.
And again, every kid's different.
Every kid's different, and I mean, they all kind of. I came away with one thing from all the books I read, which was be there for your girl.
Yep.
Whichever, if it's, I don't. There's a lot of situations out there. Luckily for me, it was a planned, for the most part, thing, so it was easy for me to implement something like that. But I mean, I read all those books. I watched a shit ton of YouTube videos. I had experience kind of. I was there since my nephew was born. Almost 16 now, which makes me feel old as shit. But I changed diapers back in the day, and here I was thinking, this is about to be like riding a bike. And then I was in the delivery room, and they handed me a fresh on the spot baby, and we're like, hey, do you want to clean this
You're in
butt?
charge now.
Yeah, do you want to change this bottom? And I'm sitting there just like, yeah, yeah, sure. And eventually it worked out, but it was a trial. I was not nearly as prepared as I thought I was.
No, and the only way to really get prepared is to just do the shit you need to. And like you said, that the first 3 months of being a father, your wife has the bulk of the work, or the mother has the bulk of the work. She like feeding is all on her for the most part.
Oh yeah.
And diapering is usually on her for the most part, because after you feed, the diaper comes almost right away. So she's not gonna hand it to me to do the diaper. Like I do diapers. I was great at diapers. It's fine, but it just all went hand in hand. Getting to sleep, a lot of times the baby would sleep right when it's eating, so that all happens at the same time. So you're more there to help your partner's sanity. I didn't have any experience with any babies before we had our kids.
Oof.
My wife was very involved with her best friend's kid when he was a baby. I think he's like 12 now.
That's cool.
That was, I think, the best thing for the both of us, because she had that kind of recent memory of helping with that,
Dealing with that
kid a
real
lot.
human
Right.
baby.
And like I said, most of it's just on the job training. There's no amount of books or videos, anything else that's going to prepare you for your exact kid.
Right.
I think if I had read or tried to prepare more, it would have just all gotten jumbled up in my head, and I would have tried too many different things at the same time, and that still happened. My wife would sometimes, like, something would be going wrong with one of our kids, so she would read 30 articles on what about this specific problem, and there's 50 different suggestions of how to approach it in those 30 different articles. And so she goes out and tries all of these solutions all at the same time, and doesn't really give us any single one of them time to breathe. And part of that is, if you try something, you've got to do it repetitively a little bit, so the kid realizes, okay, this is a thing that's going to happen, and gets used to it. So if there's something that makes the kid cry, and you try something to stop that, you can't just try it for like a day and then give up on it. You got to let them get used to it. And that was a lot of times we were constantly bouncing between things. But at the same time, she's the boss. If she wants to bounce, she can bounce.
Bounce, 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 bounce.
But I will still to this day, like, we'll go to the internet when there's a specific problem we have to solve. Try and lock in on 1 or 2 solutions. I don't know that I've ever specifically gone back to any knowledge that I learned in that book or anything that anyone told me before. I don't know like that. I pulled that out of the back of my brain.
Never.
Usually, if we have a problem, we'll start looking it up as the problem arises, rather than trying to remember, oh yeah, there's this book that said this thing. It was somewhere in the middle of it. I don't know.
Shit, the first time my kid spiked a fever, I felt like I was the dude from Pulp Fiction looking for the fucking adrenaline shot. Or the book about ODing or whatever. It's like he's scrambling all over the room and shit, and he finally finds it. But that was, I didn't really need anything. Anyone told me. The shit that was the one thing I took from books. And YouTube videos was not helpful at all. So don't fucking waste your money or your time.
I didn't even know they made like YouTube videos on how to be a dad.
Oh yeah.
Seems like if you're looking for a YouTube video on how to be a dad, maybe you shouldn't have a kid.
Oh, thanks, Calvin. Dick.
But you were reading a book too.
Several books, and they were.
If your only source of information is some random dude on YouTube, then that may be an issue.
Calvin, it wasn't some random dude. I have some class, all right? It was Logan Paul's absolute guide to being a father, who is awesome, bro.
I mean, that's better than like the Deadpool guide to being a father, I think. Actually, it's probably not.
I was gonna say, if they make one of those, that might be sweet.
What did you think going into fatherhood from the outside, what it would be like, and how did that change after you became a father?
Dude, I thought being a dad was just like being a goof. You fuck around, you
Wait, it's not? It's all I do.
Dude,
what you got on your plate?
I got like 10 minutes of fucking around. The rest of it is being dad.
Doing everything else.
Right. Yeah. So, something my dad always did with me was he was just, as long as I was clothed and fed, I kind of had to entertain myself, like, as far back as I can remember. So maybe that'll change with my kid a little bit, but I thought it was just playing games occasionally, you fuck around. And then it is not that. There's a lot more to it than that, like doing all the dishes and the fucking mountains of laundry and playing blocks.
The bottle dishes are the worst.
Dude,
there's like 15 bottles, and you gotta wash them every day because you're gonna need those 15 bottles again the next day.
For real, dude. I mean, we lived in a small house before we moved to our new house. It was like 816 square feet. Very small place. So we had no dishwasher, and so we had to wash all these fucking bottles by hand. And there's this one brand, it's like Dr. something.
Yeah.
Do not buy those, people. They're like real long, stupid fucking bottles. Yep. They're 8 pieces, and they're junk.
I don't think we bought those. I think my brother and his wife might have bought them or had a set. But yeah, they're not good.
They're shit, dude. I got them off Amazon. Like, oh fuck, my kid needs more bottles, which I thought, yeah, we have 6. We should be good. Not good. You need more than 6 probably. But yeah, they're junk. And then we had to sanitize them in this weird thing in the microwave where it just steam them out real good.
I had one of those.
Fucking
lot of baby gadgets going on, and with the first baby we tried all of them. Man. And then the second baby. Oh, absolutely. But by the second baby, you're like, okay, we bought 25 gadgets for the first baby. Only 6 of them worked. So we really locked in on those 6.
Right. We'll sell the other shit at a garage sale for like $3 and focus on the stuff. Like, I bought a nice jumper for my kid. Mm-hmm. Used it once. The first time she did that, bashed her head on a fucking door frame.
It's the door frame jumper? I think we had one of those at one point. We had the rolling ones more so.
Yeah, we had to switch to that because hence the door frame bashing.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Not a good time.
I agree. I have a hard time, like, when I look back at my childhood, I remember that my brother and I were kind of on our own for figuring out things to do for the day. My parents were always around. Like, if it's a weekend, my parents are there. My dad's, working on something he's got. My mom's doing chores around the house, or she's out running errands, whatever. And that definitely doesn't exist for either of us right now. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just because I can only remember back to when I was like 6, and so my brother was 8, so we're 6 and 8 and beyond. So I have better recollections of those times, and by that time, we were able to kind of fend for ourselves as far as like figuring out what to play and what to do all day. Or if maybe that's just how my parents were. Like, even when we were littler, they just left us to figure out how to play. But that's definitely not what exists in my house. I constantly am having to figure out what my kids can do and playing with them, and it's great for the times that I want to play and want to do the things with them.
But
But
dude,
when
it's
I
fucking
actually have other shit I need to get done and
so
they can't
exhausting.
figure out something to do for 20 minutes, that's when it's hard. And we that's where we've been putting our foot down a little bit more lately is um of just saying like we need to do this stuff right now. You guys have got to figure it out.
Yeah, leave me the fuck alone for 20 minutes. Do
They
not
don't
climb
respond
me.
well to that.
Yeah, no.
I
Raise your
told
voice an iota. There's tears involved.
we walked to the playground at our community has a playground. It's about a 3 mile walk back and forth. So it's like
It's
a
a
mile and
long
a
one
half.
for a
It's like a
kid.
mile and a half each way. And I pulled my younger daughter likes to go in the wagon. My older daughter, she was on like her little, it's not a razor scooter, but it's like the little kid version of a razor scooter. So she did that most of
Taser
the way.
scooter.
And I'm just gonna blow past that. And so I walked both ways, and while we were at the playground, they wanted to play like this chasing game. And sometimes at the play, it varies. Sometimes at the playground, they play by themselves, perfectly fine. They don't bother. We get to sit on the bench the whole time. Other times, they want us involved, playing hide and seek, playing chasing, whatever. This time, they wanted to chase. So I'm like, all right, I can chase a little bit, but I need to rest because I gotta walk back still. And I know you're not going to ride that scooter back, so I'm going to have to carry the scooter and pull both of you in the wagon. So it's going to be an even harder walk back than it was here. So we did the chasing. I walked both ways. We got home, and I'm just like, I just need to sit for like 30 minutes and relax, and then we can play whatever. And they're like, okay, fine, because I explained, I'm like, it's hot. I just walked both ways. I'm tired. My older daughter was tired too, and she's usually the one that constantly wants to play. It's Barbies, Barbies, Barbies. Let's play Barbies. Let's play Barbies all day long. She could literally do it all day, um, which is great. Except I can't literally do it all day.
Dude, I would blow my fucking brains out.
I
Oh
don't
my god.
mind playing Barbies when I have the time to play Like I'll go in there and play Barbies. She's really great about thinking up this whole elaborate story, just like when I used to play action figures. It's the same thing. I get to be Ken. This today when we were playing, we worked some Star Wars in there. She had her droid from Galaxy's Edge that she's driving around. We got a little Luke Skywalker toy in there. Baby Yoda was in there with us. So we work some stuff in every once in a while to make it more my speed.
Spice it up for you.
Yeah.
How considerate, you know?
Yeah.
Give
But
her a
she
round
is
of
really
applause.
good about building these elaborate stories, and I just have to be the dad most of the time. And so sometimes I can kind of check out and be like, oh, the dad's going to go work on this thing. And he just stands over there, and then I can just sit back while she plays.
Finally, a second to look at my phone.
Well, so we get back. I'm like, I just need to sit for 30 minutes, and we can do this, this, and this. And they're like, okay, cool. And so I sit on the couch for a minute. My wife asked me to get up and help her with something, so I did. And then I'm like, okay, I have this time. They're letting me relax. I'm going to get like half a game of Madden in.
Yeah.
I'm
Good.
10 minutes into the 20 minutes I wanted to play Madden, and she's coming in going, let's go play Barbies. You said you were going to rest. I'm like, this is me resting. Like, I don't just sit on, like, I don't just want to sit on the couch doing nothing. This is my, and she's getting mad at me because she thinks I'm playing instead of resting. And I'm just like, no, you don't get it.
It's like, honey, resting and chilling are the same thing.
If I'm sitting in a chair, that's resting. Doesn't
Right,
matter what I'm doing.
With some kind of beverage and a controller in my hands, I'm fucking resting.
Because she thought because I had gotten up, and so she got mad at me because I said after I rested we would go play, and now I wasn't I was playing my thing, I wasn't playing her thing, so little contention there. But the biggest thing I think for me is there's no more just making decisions for yourself, right?
Oh god, yeah.
Before, every decision you made really only affected you. Maybe it would affect your significant other, but now you have to take into account how each little thing affects the kids, affects my wife. How it might be an extra burden on my wife if I decide to play a video game for 20 minutes, right? Or something like that where I think, okay, we agreed on this rest time. I'm going to use mine to go play a video game. I didn't think about how that's going to affect my kids, and they don't see that as resting, right? They see that as something else.
Having fun.
Yeah. Even those littlest decisions. I'm going to go to the store and get a soda. Well, as soon as I walk out the door, the kids start going crazy. They need 100 things from my wife that I didn't take care of before I left. I should have thought of that before I left, right? And now she can't finish what she was doing. I have a hard time even remembering what the before times were like. There just had to be ass loads of free time that I wasted. and it's
Oh my
not
God.
there anymore.
That I've wasted.
How
Dude,
much free
yes.
time was flushed down the drain on
Oh
whatever
my God.
bullshit?
I could have wrote 10 fucking books. Oh man, I've become so much more cynical about stuff. Like, I see the danger in everything, and I think that
Yeah,
goes
that's
back
a big
to
one.
what you said about being like hyper attentive, because you have to be. Like, I there's a plus and a minus to every decision now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fucking exhausting. But at the end of the day, I think that's part of the deal.
Right. And even something like going to the park, it's not just like, let's get in the car and go to the park. It was, okay, my wife and I are supposed to be working today, but the kids are at home because they're off school. So we need them to be kind of tuckered out. So I can't just drive to the park. I have to take the extra 20 minutes to walk them to the park so they wear themselves out a little bit extra. And it takes the extra time because my wife had meetings. My wife has a lot of meetings in her job. I don't have many. So she can't be disturbed during those meetings when we're all at home. So it's okay, I can walk, that'll take the extra time. She can finish her meetings. I can get back, I can relax for a little bit. So it's like just every little decision is compounded and compounded and compounded.
Oh, dude, it's definitely a tag team.
Hmm.
Super, 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 super tag team. I said
The,
super like 6 times. That was
that
completely unnecessary.
I think it is necessary. And the main thing that I can say for certain is that sleep is the greatest currency when you have kids. My wife and
Dude,
I, we have to cut deals with each other for like extra sleep in the morning or naps during the day. Neither of our kids take naps anymore for the most part. We try to kind of force them into this rest time during the day, mostly so we can rest. But that doesn't always take either. They don't always listen to like, all right, let's just take an hour and chill out, have a rest.
like, nah. I'm gonna decide to destroy
Yeah.
everything. Or this is when I'm gonna get hyper.
This is when I need to make my art project that needs 15 pieces of paper that I'm going to cut up into 400 pieces of paper, every crayon we have, a couple glue sticks, and a
Some
paper plate.
glitter too. You gotta get some glitter in there.
No, we keep the glitter on lockdown.
Yeah, yeah, man.
My wife got glitter in her eye when she was a
Oh,
kid, and they had to
fuck.
like pull it out with a magnet.
Oh my God, are you
That's how you
what
get
the
glitter out of
fuck?
your eye, if anyone's wondering. So she is very glitter averse for that reason. So we keep the glitter to a minimum.
Your daughter just brings home like a bottle of glitter, your wife smacks that shit out of her hand.
We got this
Get it
little
away from
Christmas
me.
tree for her Barbie dream house. It's one of the ones for like the little Christmas villages that people build. And it just drops glitter everywhere all the time. So there's glitter all over the playroom, all over her Barbie dream house, and she just loves it. And my wife's like, "Do you see all this glitter? That's gonna get in your eyes."
That's how you get glitter in your eyes. Idiots. Dude, oh God, fuck. I'm not a big fan of glitter myself, mostly because it fucking sucks. You can't get it off you. It's bullshit. And if you get it in your eyes, fuck that noise.
And then you have to get a magnet to get it out.
I'm really glad you actually said that, because it's bound to fucking happen to me
At
now.
least in
Because
the 80s, that was how they got it out. They may have some super sweet glitter technology now, but in the 80s, when it got stuck in my wife's eye, that's how she had to get it out.
I feel like they just have a laser beam for that now. You know, they have a
Just
laser
fry it.
beam for everything.
So
Just
were you going into fatherhood, were you influenced by anybody else's dad stories, family, friends, whatever, what they were telling you? Did you take that into account into how you thought you would be a father?
definitely, man. It's hard not to. Like, my dad told me a lot of stories. They mostly started with, "Son, your mom was a fucking bitch." So, just so you know,
It's a
I
child
have
of divorce if you were unaware.
right. I have a stepmom. She's great. Real mom, apparently, kind of a bitch. Um, but anyway, that's usually how the stories would preface, and then he'd be like, dealing with her made dealing with you kind of annoying. He was, for the most part, he was great, and he gave me some solid advice. And in regards of don't be your kid's friend, that was a good one. And outside that, I had a lot of people from work and shit like that, because, like I said earlier, we for the most part planned our pregnancy, so people always want to give your 2 cents, like we are
Yes,
in an
absolutely.
hour-long podcast form.
I try not to, on a personal level, I try not to give just random unsolicited advice. Even you, like you tried to ask me questions, and I was just kind of like, I don't know what to tell you because your kid's going to be different. You and your wife's relationship is different. The place you live, everything is different. I can tell you general things that may be helpful, but and like you've asked me sometimes about specific things. I think one time that your kid was sick and you were going through something that you asked me like if I had ever seen anything like that with my kids, which that's easier. Like specific um questions are easier, but if somebody's just like, yeah, my wife's pregnant, I'm not gonna just like go off for 20 minutes on what they should do with their kids because I remember when I was the very few people that I kind of let in on that, I didn't want to hear what they had to say. I didn't. I'm
They
the
weren't people I
opposite.
cared to hear. Yeah.
I don't know that I definitely nothing influenced me because I was pretty excited and ready to have kids. We were planning it as well. I don't have a close relationship really with too many people at work where I'm just like, yeah, my wife's finally pregnant. I would say 90% of the people that I work with probably didn't even know I was married or had a pregnant wife.
Do you not wear a wedding ring?
I do, so that would be the only way that they would. But
I was gonna say.
I don't really talk about it. I don't get into deep conversations with coworkers
Oh,
very
dude, fuck.
often.
I don't say
Um,
shit to anyone but like one person that I have to work with closely, and you kind of have to talk.
right, and it was the same for me, and I didn't try to volunteer that information because I didn't want to hear what they had to say because especially with dudes, a lot of it is oh yeah, your whole say goodbye to everything you want to do or say goodbye to your free time. It's like, well, yeah, but you still have free time. It's just different free time and it's free time with your kids. It was the same thing when I was getting married and everybody's like, "Oh, aren't you nervous? Aren't you worried? You know, one vagina for the rest of your life?" Bullshit. And I'm like, No. Like I
Yeah, not really. I asked her, didn't I?
yeah, I
Like,
asked her. I don't like a whole lot of people. This is the person I've chosen to spend my life with. Like, I'm ready. Let's do it.
like, have I ever tried to marry you? That should
Yeah.
answer all you should need to know. She's fucking
Why
awesome.
would I be nervous? Even on
That's
the wedding
I
day,
was
everybody, are you nervous? No. Because my brother, I couldn't eat the whole day. My uncle, I couldn't eat the whole day. I was sick to my stomach. I'm like, why? You chose this. If you couldn't handle it, don't do it.
I agree 100%. It's the same thing for me. It was just really hot. I was nervous about passing out, in all honesty.
That
It was like, man,
that's understandable.
it was like 114-degree heat
Cool.
index, hottest day of the fucking year, and we got married on it. I'm in a three-piece suit, like, it's a little fucking hot.
So because I don't have this specific experience, I want to take this opportunity to get it out of the way now. And I got to take shots at the dads that constantly complain about their kids. And every time you ask about their kids or ask about anything, it's straight to, oh, I've got to babysit tonight. Or just they're unironically shitty about like the way that they talk about their kids when their kids aren't right there.
They just bitch about them.
Fuck you people. That's all I've
Yeah.
got to say.
Why do you have kids then?
I've never felt, well, because the wife wanted to. I had to, whatever she says, we got to do. That's bullshit.
Sack up, son.
Yeah.
It's not how this shit works.
I've never felt that having kids in and of itself has been a burden. There are definitely specific times where they feel like a burden or like they just run you to the end of your rope, but it's not their fault simply for existing. There's 100 different circumstances that go into making it a burden at that specific time. But
I,
them existing is not the burden.
right, and I mean, I don't even like using the word burden.
Right. I couldn't think
It's
of
more
a
pain in the ass for me. I think pain in the ass is really just kind of a
annoying. They can
that
get annoying from time to time.
right, dude. It's a neuter term. I think you're a pain in the ass. It's kind of
Any
more playful
6-year-old
than anything.
can get annoying.
Oh fuck, dude. Any kid can get
Right.
annoying, but it really comes down to you. Are you gonna let
And
yourself be annoyed as shit, or
exactly.
are you gonna buy in?
And sometimes like the annoyance doesn't usually come from them. It's I've got chores to finish, I've got work to do,
Yeah, I got shit to do.
and they're now asking me a million questions on top of that. If I didn't have anything else to go that was going on, their a million questions wouldn't bother me. But because I have my mind should be on this other stuff that I need to get done for the day, I can't focus. I'm trying to focus on that, but I also know I have to tend to their needs. So that's where that and it like you said, that's where the pain in the ass comes from. 98% of the time, it's awesome that they're around. I'd never have a problem being left alone with them. Like if my wife is out doing something, she needs to do or wants to do. She goes out with her friends some nights, and I'm with the kids. We'll have movie nights. We'll do all this stuff. She goes out and goes shopping for several hours, which
I don't
again,
understand how that's possible.
I don't know how that's possible just in and of itself.
I shop for like 7 minutes. I know exactly what I need and where it is, and I'm out.
Yeah, I'm mostly the same way. There have been times maybe 2 hours tops, but she'll go out 4 or 5 hours and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll be back in 2 hours," and I know that's bullshit. Like I know it's not gonna happen, and I was like, "Okay, cool," and I usually won't call her on it until it's one of those days where they're just on top of everything. I just can't get past it, and I'll call her and I'll be like, "I need you to come home." It's not ever she's leaving and now I have to figure out what to do. Most of the time, even when we're all home, I'm figuring out what to do with them for most of the day anyways.
Right. I mean, I try to be interactive. I'm not.
Yes.
I sit on my phone. I definitely do some of that because sometimes I just need to fucking chill.
Right.
But the only times it's really bugged me or been a severe pain in the ass is when I'm trying to take a shit, man.
Yes.
And I got a kid climbing on me. A human
Yes.
being, it's like, dude, I'm shitting. Like, you should not be trying to climb
So yeah,
on
that
me.
definitely compounds with two kids. It's
Oh my god, 2 kids climbing
and we
on
have
you
a
while
we
you're
have a
trying to take a shit.
mostly open door household because they're still small. It's getting more closed off in privacy. Our 6-year-old, she'll go in and change her own clothes, and she'll like shut the door and say she needs privacy. She'll go to the bathroom, shut the door, and say she needs privacy. And I've gotten to the point where if I'm in the bathroom, I have to be like, I need privacy. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, get away from me.
Because they just want to come in and like ask all these questions that could wait 5 minutes.
Just want to hang out with you.
What are you doing?
Like, hey.
Are you peeing? Are you pooping? What's going on? It's just like, no, just go. I'll be out in a minute. I'll answer all your questions. Just chill. The biggest problem I think I have is in being an introvert, I physically need time where I'm just absolutely alone sometimes.
Dude,
and that's very difficult to come by because they're too young to fully understand that. I can't just be like, look, you guys got to leave me the fuck alone for like an hour and I'll be fine. And I've tried working on that with my wife because she doesn't understand it either. Like she understands when I say it, but she doesn't understand the full physical toll that it takes on me if I haven't gotten that in a while. And I can't always sense when that's coming on. So like there will be times where I just kind of like freak out and I get to the end of my rope much faster than I should be because I haven't gotten that in a while, and then like an hour later I'll realize that's what's going on, but I've already like flipped out on everyone and been like, you guys got to get the hell away from me.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to do better at me asking for that ahead of time and just trying to carve out that time because it is important. And before I was working from home, before the pandemic, I was working from home anyways. My wife was at work. My kids were in school. I had that. I had it whenever I needed it. So it was very easy. And then since the pandemic, I'm not alone ever unless I specifically go out of my way to be like, you got to get the kids and get the fuck out of here, or you've got to let me lock myself in my office for an hour and get them busy on something else. Because if they're not busy on something else, they'll come in and start talking to me and wanting me to play and wanting me to do this. If she's just like, here, go color a picture, they color their picture for 5 minutes and then they're done, and then they come straight to me because they want something else to do. So if I don't ask for that specifically, it's not going to happen.
That sucks, dude. I mean, yeah, that's not fun. I'm very fortunate. So basically that's my entire life is I don't ever get that time like you had pre-pandemic. It's been a management thing. Right. I'm very fortunate that my wife is exceptional at knowing exactly when I reach that point, because I get fucking neurotic. Like outwardly I get kind of pacey, and I talk really quietly normally because I'm afraid of yelling at people, and then when I get to that point, I start talking at a normal volume, and she's like, "Oh shit, here we go." But I'm very fortunate. I've carved out the time to talk to you every night, and right. You know how it is with or not every night, but every Wednesday. But you know how it is with a 18-month-old. That shit is impossible. They see a doorknob, they want to open it, they want to come see what you're doing. She hears me, she knows what's up.
Yeah, and we've the kids are having pretty much every Friday night they sleep over at their grandma's now, which that helps. Sometimes my wife and I get a date night out of it, like an inside date night. Other times we just kind of take our own alone. Either she'll go out with some of her friends, and I get my alone time, or we'll just do separate things in the house. So we work on it. It's just we haven't got, because it's more of a new problem. We haven't gotten the full sense of it yet.
Oh, definitely. I mean, everything is trial and error.
Yeah, one more piece of advice that I learned way before being a father. This was like, I don't even know that I was dating my wife when I learned this. This was from the great Shea Serrano. In one of his books or one of his articles I read a long time ago, when you're gonna have kids, or even you've met the person that you think you're gonna have kids with, you need to start establishing long bathroom times. Because that is going to be your escape.
Pretty much, dude.
Yeah.
But
you can't just, if you have a normal size bathroom time and you've been dating your significant other for 5 years and then boom, you have a kid and now all of a sudden you're in there 45 minutes every time, they're going to pick up on that and they're going to be like, what the fuck's going on? So you got to start building up that tolerance as you go.
100%. I literally had the thought today that I had a quiet moment. It's been one of those days. And so I'm just standing in the bathroom and I'm like, I could literally sit on the toilet for 6 fucking hours playing on my phone. Wouldn't be a problem. Probably be really relaxing, actually.
There is a certain point. It doesn't work the whole childhood though, because if you don't create that privacy boundary, which we haven't yet and we're getting to now, that it doesn't matter if you're in there for 45 minutes because they're going to come in every 2 minutes anyways and ask why you're not done yet.
Right.
So.
Hey, why haven't you just shit already? I'm trying to play.
So if they're bothering you every 2 minutes, then you're going to go the opposite direction and just get done with everything as quickly as possible so they stop bothering you.
Right. As a father, here's some sound advice for you folks too. We're peppering it through. You will become efficient at so much shit.
Yeah.
Because you will have to. Making dinner, efficient as fuck. Doing the dishes, efficient as fuck. Carrying things, efficient as fuck.
The carrying thing was I always had trouble with because I've got bad back and shoulders. So like I can't carry my kids for very long, just in general. And then picking up a whole bunch of other shit too, like it's always been troublesome.
Yeah, I mean, I luckily don't have that.
We've gotten to the point where we can do piggyback rides now. So piggyback rides are a lifesaver for.
I fucking bet, man. I'm lucky in the sense that my kid does not like sitting on my shoulders.
That's the worst. That's the absolute worst. We've gone to Disney World a couple times, and to see like the show, somebody's got to get up on the shoulders because that is the most uncomfortable thing in the world.
Yeah, I always have to like hunch over. It's like I can't really see you straight up. If I was attacked right now, I wouldn't be able to respond. We'd be fucked.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get attacked,
dude.
So
this is America.
Let's discuss what's actually changed. What do you feel has actually changed now that you're a father?
Really the structure of my entire human existence.
my note was literally everything.
Literally everything, dude. Yeah. It's as a dad, literally every aspect of my life.
I have no idea what
changed.
The before times were like.
It's been 18 months, and I can tell you, I've already forgotten.
Wait,
I was talking to my
4.5 more years.
Wife. Oh fuck, man. It's already started to get to a point where I feel like an old man, because I was talking to my wife today, and it's like, I don't even know what to do with my PlayStation. She sent me a video of when my daughter was like first born, where she wasn't really grabbing shit, so she was sitting on my lap while I was playing Overwatch.
Yep.
And
I had those days. Or like they sit in the little rocker and you can kind of rock it with your foot while you play.
Right. Yeah, that does not fly anymore.
No.
That does not work at all. So it's like, I literally have 0 games I want to play or anything like that. So that's a good.
So I'm gonna give you some advice.
And
you're probably gonna think it's not very good advice. Play Fortnite.
She just wants to grab everything from my fucking
So here's
hand.
the thing about Fortnite. If you can carve yourself out 30 minutes to an hour to play, you can get a solid session in. Because the map is always the same. So it's not like Call of Duty or anything like that where you have to learn 20 different maps. and really know what you're doing. Otherwise, you just get your ass kicked online. The map's always the same. The guns and the mechanics are very easy to pick up and to learn. You don't have to spend any money. It's free to download. You don't have to spend any money if you don't want to. You can unlock some cool shit if you do spend a little bit of money, but it's a very easy pick up and play. A game will take anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. So 5 minutes if you die within the first 15 people, 20 minutes if you make it to the end. So if the kid's not there and you got like an hour before your wife gets home, you can get an actual solid session in where you feel like you've accomplished anything, as opposed to like you fire up Skyrim and you get 30 minutes to an hour to play, you accomplish literally nothing in that 30 minutes to an hour. You wander around trying to refigure out the controls, and it's just a waste of that hour.
See, for me, I cannot stand Fortnite. I tried. It's just not my thing. I'm not really too much of a big gamer anymore. I used to find 1 or 2 games and play the fuck out of those. But
all right, here's the next advice. Get yourself a Nintendo Switch.
I want one so bad for that reason, so I can just grab that shit. Or I think she would really enjoy it. They have a lot of sweet games on there.
Well, my kids were like 3 and 1, I think, is when I got mine. Maybe 4 and 2. So 2 or 3 years ago, I got mine. It must have been like early 2019, because I think I bought NBA 2K18 and never played it, because I think the 2K games are trash now, but that's neither here nor there. And it was for that reason, is because my PlayStation was in the office. I didn't have a lot of time just to break away for an hour and play and still be helpful with the kids. But if I had the Switch, as long as I'm not playing a game online, I can sit there, I can play it. They need something, I pause it, I set it down, I go help. I unpause, I'm on the couch, I'm in whatever room they're in, and I can play. Second bonus, there are a lot of good kid-friendly games.
Definitely.
Mario Party is great. My kids are picking that up. You can get there's like a $20 Super Nintendo bundle you can get. There's a $20 Nintendo bundle you can get, which have like Donkey Kong, the original Marios, things like that, which I'm trying to get them into slowly. I also have Super Nintendo and Nintendo emulators, and they play like this Barbie game on the Super Nintendo emulator, and we have a Mickey Mouse game on one of them that they play. So very simple 2-button kind of things just to get them used to it. There's like a Pets game that they play on the Switch. There's
fucking Pets, yeah.
There's a Unicorn Princess game that's really shitty, but they like to play it. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu is really good and really easy. So there are a lot of more kid-friendly games. Mario Kart, you could kind of get them into it. They've had trouble with that though. But there's a lot of things that they can easily pick up and play.
I might have to just trade my PlayStation in for a goddamn Switch.
So PlayStation 5 is the first PlayStation console that I have not bought this quickly in the release cycle.
I'm probably not even gonna get it.
I will get one. I'm hoping my wife buys me one for Christmas, but I doubt it'll happen. So I'll probably get one like after the new year. Just because I do like Miles Morales Spider-Man. I want to play that, but I'm not going to play it on PS4. The new Crash Bandicoot.
It's not available on PS4, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Shit, then I'll get that on PS4 and then trade that shit in.
The new Crash Bandicoot I want to play, but I'm not gonna go out and buy all these new games for $60 on PlayStation 4. Some of them upgrade to PlayStation 5, some of them don't. You got to figure out which ones. So like I'm waiting for that, and then I'll get all these new games, and I'll carve time out for myself to play. Working from home, I still do have generally some time to play every day. Right now, I'm playing a lot of Madden just because I'm in this connected franchise, but I can easily cut some Madden time to devote to these other games that I actually like. And I really like playing Fortnite because it's easy to pick up and put down, and I can get a couple games in.
Nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, back to your original point, just everything's changed. Every moment now has to be planned and thought out. Every decision that you thought was simple has to be carefully calculated to appease as many people in your family as possible. You have to also, like, if you go out, you're running errands, you're doing something, you have to have an out if you're trying to do something outside of the house. bad mood swoops through out of left field, you don't know what's going on. You got to be able to just dip. You got to say, I'm putting all this shit back on the shelf at Target. It doesn't matter. We got to go home.
Yes. Got to be willing to make those hard decisions.
Or
look like the bad guy.
Understand that, all right, the bad mood's coming. I've got 6 minutes until the meltdown actually comes. I've got 9 out of 15 things I need from Target. We're just buying these 9 things. The other 6 things can wait. You always got to have that backup plan.
Dude, 100%. I feel like this sounds really. Never mind. I'm not gonna make that comparison.
Is it the Jim Halpert? Like when he first had CC, and he's like, she gets me out of everything, and also I love her.
No, I was gonna say I feel like a fucking war veteran in the sense that I'm not putting my back towards the door, right? I'm calculating everything.
Yes.
You got to figure that it's.
You got to be thinking constantly 2 steps ahead, like a carpenter who builds stairs.
Right, and that reference is great. Very good dad reference. But I mean, like my before the most recent lockdowns here in Illinois, my wife and I would, just to get out of the fucking house, we'd occasionally take our daughter to the store, and she would wear a mask the whole time. And it's as soon as you walk in that door, it's like, okay, we got maybe 23 to 28 minutes. We got to go. And then in 7 minutes, she's ripping that shit off.
When you've got to, making the Target run, you've got to establish before you go inside whether you will look, you have to convey and come to an agreement with your children. You're probably not at this point yet, but you will be soon. You've got to convey and come to an agreement of what will happen in the toy aisle. There's 3 options. You go to the toy aisle, or you just completely avoid the toy aisle, but you have to tell them that going in. We're not going to look at toys today. Sorry, we don't have time. We got other shit to do. You go to the toy aisle, but we're not buying anything. So here's a pro tip for all the dads out there. You take pictures to send to Santa. That's the way to do it.
Dude,
that's
that
what
is
we do.
So good.
So that's our thing now is we're not buying anything, but we'll take pictures of everything you like, and we can put that on your birthday list. We can put it, we can send it to Santa, whatever.
That
usually appeases them. Option 3 is we're going to the toy section. You can get something small. If you're good through the rest of the store, you got to be good in the rest of the store. We'll go to the toy section. You can get something small under $10. We'll tell you how much $10 is. 6-year-old, that's going to get rough because she's starting to learn her numbers now.
Right. And I remember when my dad told me $6, I thought 6 was more like 20.
Right, exactly. She'll go in, she'll grab the biggest fucking Barbie set out there. It's like $43, and she'll be like, "Is this under $10?" No, not even close. Then we start pointing to things, and she's like, "I don't want any of that." Okay.
I don't want that shit. I don't want that garbage.
Final part of this dad tip: they will always take slime.
Yeah,
kids will always go for slime. We've got a drawer full of slime, or like the kinetic sand, Play-Doh, clay, whatever. Just throw that shit in the drawer. When it dries out, it doesn't matter because you go get more anyways. There's always slime. Don't buy the slime building kits, though. It never comes out right.
Yeah, it's not.
Do it a couple times for the experience because the kids like to do it, but the slime's never going to come out.
Yeah, throw that shit right away and just bust out the store stuff. Store-bought and be like, yeah, it just set real nice.
Yeah, yours was pink when you made it, but it's yellow now. That's just something that happens. The molecules in the air, they mix with the oxygen and the nitrogen, and they mix with the stuff in the slime. That you'll learn about it when you're in 10th grade. Don't worry about it.
Honey, it's slime,
If we said some shit like that to my 6-year-old, she would hold on to that. She would remember that. If I was like, if she had the pink one and it turned out yellow and I tried to like explain it off with all these science terms that she doesn't understand because she's 6, literally 10 years later, she'd come back and she'd be like, we learned about all this. We're learning about how chemicals mix and make this and this. Remember, you said that this happened to my slime and it did not happen. She does that shit to us now. We'll have made some bullshit up like 2 years ago and she'll be like, do you remember when you said this? And we're like, yeah. She's like, I don't think that's how it works. We're like, okay, you caught us.
You're the expert.
She is very well reasoned and can like think her way through and talk her way through everything. It's great, and it's a double-edged sword because she talks her way into a lot of stuff because
Oh, dude.
she's just so good at it. And I'll get to that in a minute.
I'll get to that in a minute.
So, what does it mean to you to be a good parent?
Being there, man. 100%. It's when I say being there, I mean
greatest ability is availability.
Literally.
Shout out Mike Golick.
Shout out whoever you said. Literally everything we have built up to is just being there for your kid.
Reverse
your
shout out every
daughter.
dad who's not there right now. You're listening to this instead of being with your kid. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean
unless you're at work or something and you're gonna go see
right.
him
That's
later.
fair.
That's cool.
If you're an absent father, blow me, you fuck. But yeah, that's pretty much the best advice I can ever give ever. Be there. Yeah. Take initiative. Ask him. I mean, my kid can hardly speak 2 words together, but I'm still
she's
just
way
like,
behind
okay.
Nick. She should be saying full sentences. She should be able to read the Iliad. What is going on in your household?
Why is she not shitting on a toilet? I don't know, Calvin. I don't know. She is in the 99th percentile of height, so I'm pretty sure she might make it to the WNBA.
Both my kids are super tall, dude. Yeah.
She's like 3 feet tall at 18 months old. It's fucking nuts, man.
That's big, yeah.
I got a couple. I'm 9.5, I think. My wife is 5'6". My dad is 5'7". My dad's dad is 5'4". But we have a couple cousins and uncles who are like 6'6". I got a fucking great uncle who's like 6'10". Couple 7-footers in the family. I'm really hoping my kid cannot dunk me. That will be horrible.
So my brother and I were the outliers in our family. All of our parents, our uncles, aunts, all short. Nobody over 6 foot. I got a couple uncles that top out at 5'10", 5'11". Cousins, same thing. Both me and my brother, I'm 6'1", 6'2" on a good back day where I'm standing up real straight. He's 6'3". But we were short most of our childhoods, and we just kind of resigned ourselves to that. And then 10th grade, he shot up. My growth spurt came at like the end of 11th grade. I was probably 5'8" at the beginning of 11th grade, and then when I started my freshman year in college, I was 6'1". So
I bet your knees hurt like a motherfucker.
Not really.
You didn't get the old Oshkin slider?
I mean, I probably got a little bit of it, but I was playing sports so much that you can't differentiate your different aches and pains, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, we surprised everybody by being the ones that shot up. But both his kids are both very big for their ages. My kids are tall for their ages. So it's going to be interesting when they all outgrow us at like 8 years old.
I can't fucking wait. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be great.
So we touched for me, we touched on this when we were talking about when we did the teen movie superlatives last week. I stand by everything I said there. You have to try, and it's not always easy, but you have to try to approach everything with compassion and support. It doesn't matter necessarily how I'm going to feel in a situation. I have to think about how they feel and why they may feel that way and what makes them feel that way. If my 4-year-old is melting down because I brought her goldfish instead of Ritz crackers, I can't take that personally because I'd be happy if somebody brought me goldfish and not Ritz crackers. I have to kind of reframe my way of thinking and see why she thinks it's the end of the world to have goldfish, and try and let her know, okay, I understand you didn't want goldfish, but we're out of Ritz crackers. I'll go to the store tomorrow and get Ritz crackers, but right now we got goldfish, so you got to eat these goldfish. Or if it's within my realm of possibility, I haul ass off for some Ritz crackers right then. If they are in the house, and I just grab the other thing, because my 4-year-old likes to do this thing where we ask her what she wants to eat, and when she wants to say it doesn't matter, she says it doesn't care, which is awesome. So we'll be like, what do you want? It doesn't care. So I grab the goldfish. I didn't want those. What do you want?
Like, what the fuck?
It doesn't matter, just not goldfish. But she's like screaming through all of this. So I'm like, oh shit. And I know she wants the Ritz crackers. I could have grabbed the Ritz crackers to begin with, but I like to try and get her to eat different things.
Yeah, you got to try that as a dad. Yeah. You got to try different
But we also aren't the types to like force them into doing something or having something they don't want.
My kid's gonna get fed at the end of the night, no matter what.
Some people may say that's spoiled, and you're the adult, be the adult, but I I'm
What
gonna
the fuck does that mean? Your
no.
kid is hungry. You feed them. What is like?
We
What is?
very carefully choose our battles, and I'm not about to get into an argument with a 4-year-old over a snack when I have the ability to get her the snack she wants. If I don't have that ability at the moment to get her what she wants, then that's when I try and like work her through it and explain what's going on, and still all from compassion and support of like, I know you want the Ritz crackers. We don't have the Ritz crackers. We can get Ritz crackers later, but right now, if you're hungry, you need to eat this because this is what we have. Usually we can work through it, but I'm not like yelling at her, chucking them at her head, being like, eat the fucking Ritz crackers.
Yeah, that would
I
just
worked
be.
hard for these Ritz crackers. You eat the Ritz crackers.
That's some little dick shit.
Yeah.
I like to say. I mean, honestly, my kid will throw a fit for like 30 seconds, but I always talk shit to her. I'm like, listen, dog, this is all I got.
Yeah.
Come on, homie. Like,
You start there. If they're not feeling that, then you go in for like the real close hug. And I get
it's
it.
like, dude, this is
The
all I
Ritz
got.
crackers are better. I know. If we had Ritz crackers, I would eat the Ritz crackers too, but we don't. So you got to have this. We'll get you some Ritz. We don't have the Ritz crackers right now. If you eat the goldfish, you can have an M&M. Boom, done.
Yeah, dude, it's like, as a father, I've become an expert barterer.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I'm fucking amazing at it now. And at the same time, I am amazing at picking my battles,
Yes,
man.
that's what's
Like that's
important.
90% of being a dad. You gotta pick your battles with everyone.
And a mom, I think. It's a parent in general. And
As a parent in general.
we don't spoil our kids in the sense that they just get whatever they want whenever they want it. As far as like toys and things go. If they throw a fit in a store over they wanted a toy, we have no problem just getting the hell out of there
Right,
with
it's like,
them kicking and
no.
screaming and crying. And then, but we still, like we say, we're going to leave because you're not going to get the toy, okay? I know you want the toy. You're not going to get the toy today. We put it on, we took a picture, we'll send it to Santa, whatever. We're not going to do it today. We're just going to leave the store now. And we go out. And then when they calm down, we go back to the conversation and say, do you understand why you couldn't have the toy? You just had a birthday. You haven't gotten your allowance. We started doing allowances recently. And my daughter, she still doesn't quite understand money. So every time she gets $5, she's like, I'm going to spend $25. I'm like, that's not how it works. If you save, if you wait 3 more weeks, you can go back and get that thing. It'll still be there because they're Barbies. They're always there. But they do get spoiled in the sense that if they want something that's completely within our means, or they have a better argument for why they should get it than we have why they shouldn't, they get it.
Dude,
There have been a
with you,
lot
man.
of times where both our kids have argued their way into things just because our reason was like, my reason would be like, I don't want to get off the couch to go do this thing that you're asking for, even though I could do it, but you don't really need this thing that you're asking for. And then I can't give that as a reason. So she'll just work her magic on all this sound reasoning. I'm like, you got a point. All right.
Yeah, I'm fucking there.
Let's go
Yeah,
color a picture, I guess.
yeah, I'll color a sweet one. Way better than yours, loser. I fuck with my kids so much. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting there calling her a loser or anything like that. But I totally just rib my kid. It's
Yes,
so fun.
we constantly tease.
Oh, dude, she
Most of
loves
the time when they ask for something, as I'm walking to the fridge to get it, I tell them they can't have it.
I always say psych.
Oh,
And my
I
kid
just tried to
she
teach her
loses
psych
mind.
the other day and she didn't understand it, so I got to work on that. But we
Oh,
never
dude, my
do
kid's
the
got it down.
nice. We never use the because I said so or because I'm the grown up reasons.
Never. You gotta give reasons, man. Legit ones.
Always give real reasons for our answers, and we've taught them the same thing, that if they're saying no to something, they need to give us a reason. And I mean, this bites us in the ass often.
Lots.
Because
It will.
their time, we'll be in Target, they want to go see the toys, and we'll say no because we know looking at the toys leads to they want a toy, but they can't get a toy today because it's not their birthday or whatever reason there is for not getting a toy. And so we'll just say no, and then they go, well, why not? And we try and start giving, kind of half reasons, because they're not going to understand the whole thing of like, we're just not going to buy a toy today because you have too many toys.
Yeah. You have 95%
But
too many
then,
toys.
she talks through it. She's like, we can go look, I can take pictures, we can do this. And I'll be like, you're right. There's no reason. We're not in a hurry. We can go do it. Like,
Right.
it's
fine.
fine.
I'll take the 7
Yeah.
minutes.
She's really learned to make some well-reasoned arguments, and the 4-year-old, same thing. She's getting there with it. And Good.
Sounds like you, Calvin.
Yeah.
No way.
Good. Make good arguments. I have no problem if you make a good, but if you're just like, I'm the kid and I want to go look at toys, so fuck you, that's not flying.
That is the quickest way for me to be like, all right, we're leaving and you're not getting shit. I'm turning the music up on the way home.
We always listen to their music in the car.
Fuck no. She listens to, I can't do it anymore. If she's having a bad day when I pick her up or something, we'll listen to like Wheels on the Bus on YouTube or shit like that.
Yeah, this is right about, I guess maybe she was about 3. We went to like Disney on Ice one time, and they had Toy Story, and they played You Got a Friend in Me, so I threw that. She was crying after we left for some reason. It wasn't anything to do with anything we were doing. It was just like something random, yeah, and she was tired. And she had a snow cone, so the sugar rush was wearing off. All just everything kind of bottled up inside her, and she started crying for no reason. And so I put on You've Got a Friend in Me on YouTube, and that kind of started this whole thing. And then there were like 10 songs that we would play every once in a while, and now there are 104 songs on my phone in a playlist specifically for favorite song, that we call it favorite songs. Whenever they're in the car, basically that's what we listen to. Sometimes my 6-year-old and I listen to the Curious Kid podcast. If you have a kid, listen to the Curious Kid podcast. It's a lot of fun. A lot of cool stuff to learn about.
Sounds kind of cool.
It's a guy and his daughter. I believe she's 6 or 7. She's somewhere between 6 months to a year older than my oldest daughter. We started listening to it like on the way to her dance class every week, but she doesn't do dance class anymore. So now we just, whenever there's a good topic, we'll listen to it. But it's a good podcast. They do a really good job, and it's a lot of fun.
Something to do together.
Yep. And they're only like 10 minutes long tops, which is great.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about right there.
You can really power through them if you want.
Hell yeah.
All right, so we got to go the other way here. Let's hear some horror stories. How many do you have?
Dude, I'm going to go real quick with horror stories.
Okay. I have 2.5 that I
got 2.5 too, basically. So
okay.
We'll go back and forth. Is whenever she was a little baby, where you could literally like leave her somewhere, and if you surrounded her with stuff, she's not gonna roll over.
Right.
She's gonna be fine. Yeah. She's not gonna die or anything like that.
You're not leaving her for an hour, but you can walk to the bathroom, do your business, wash your hands, and get back.
Right. So I did that with my kid, and me and my wife literally walk outside for. It was like the most beautiful night we'd had in forever. It was gorgeous outside. We literally walked outside just to get some fresh air and look at the goddamn stars. And my wife's like, just stops all of a sudden and starts like looking around like a predator. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, honey? And she's like,
there's a cougar in your house.
Dude, we run inside, and somehow my kid had like rolled off her spot and had landed between like 17 sharp corners of furniture and shit. And she was just sitting there like screaming her head off. No marks, hadn't hurt herself at all. And it was just like, well, what the fuck? How did you possibly move? That was a horror story. That was very scary.
No, that's bad. I had a few head bumps, like where I'm putting them on the changing table and I just misjudged it a little bit.
Right.
And so I didn't get the head on the full pad. I got the head hit the little wooden part that's at the end of the pad. I had a couple of those, but I don't know that I don't even know that they cried after doing that. I was more having a panic attack. Other than that, I call my wife, be like, I promise I didn't do it on purpose, but she hit her head. Oh, that's cool. Happens all the time to kids. Okay, fine.
Oh, right. Yeah, dude, my wife was really nonchalant. My daughter like fell back when she was a couple months old, and I was just barely too far away. I couldn't catch her, and we had shitty carpet but concrete underneath. Ugh. So she dinked her head pretty hard, but obviously not hard enough to hurt herself.
The problem is it makes such a loud noise.
Oh, dude, it's
the loudest
so unsettling
that you've ever heard in your life.
It is unsettling as fuck. I've heard gunshots like within 5 feet of me, and that was less scary than the sound my kid's head made. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
No, it does to me and every other dad who's bumped their kid's head on something before they're like a year old.
It's just like, oh, fuck.
So my first real horror story that I could think of here was when my oldest daughter was 5 months old. We were having lunch with my wife's parents at Pizza Hut. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Pizza Hut. And the waitress we got some breadsticks with the marinara. She set the marinara sauce for the breadsticks right in front of a baby. and
my
none of us
God.
could get to it fast. Like, we all saw it, but we couldn't reach faster than the baby could. She reached out, grabbed it, spilled it all over her arm and her chest. It was scalding hot, burned her very badly on her arm and her
No.
chest. So we all jump into action as she's just screaming her head off. Someone called 911, no idea who, because I grabbed her. I went for her, picked her up, got the shirt off of her, tried to get the remaining sauce off of her arm because the sauce wasn't on her skin, on her chest. It was just on the shirt. So threw the shirt onto the skin, but it was directly on her arm. So I tried to get that off. The waitress is like freaking out, trying to apologize, and we're just like, all right, that's great that you're
Yeah,
sorry,
get us cold water,
but
idiot.
it's not helping right now that you're sorry. People kept trying to put ice on it, which is a very bad idea for burns. Do not put ice on burns. I I knew that because I learned from experience in my own childhood. You know how cars used to have the cigarette lighters in them?
Oh, dude, yeah.
I burned my finger on one of those, right? Pretty badly because I did not know it was a cigarette lighter. I just thought it was like a cool little like I would play with it all the time and never burnt myself. It never even felt hot. But one time I did it and my finger was over the tip of it and burnt the shit out of my finger.
Yeah, that
Went
shit gets
inside,
hot.
told an adult, they handed me a bag of ice. I put the ice on it. Huge fucking bubble pops up on my finger for the next like 2 weeks. Don't put ice on
Ugh.
burns. It's not good for them. So I'm yelling at everyone to get the ice out of there. Get me cold water while we're
Cold
waiting for
water,
the
man.
ambulance to come in. Cold water and vinegar is what you do for burns. Not at the same time, either cold water or vinegar. So
Cold water running is the best.
yes, running cold water. If it's like a finger or something that you can dip, pour like a little glass of vinegar and just dip your finger in there, hold it in there for like 10 seconds, you'll be fine. Learn
I'll
that in
keep that in the
chemistry
future.
class.
Yeah, learn new little dad lesson for me.
Yeah. I was the one that had to ride in the ambulance with her, holding because the ambulance, they have this cooling balm that they put on her chest and her arm. So I've got to hold that there because it's on like this little pad or whatever. And it's just very, very difficult because she's still screaming the entire time. We finally get to the ER. They give her some sort of painkiller. But that was a very difficult night. We stayed in the hospital all night with her. And the nurse that was on duty brought her this little stuffed animal
Aw.
horse. And that thing made her so happy. She was hopped up on painkillers, but that thing made her so happy. And like now, anytime that we have a garage sale or we're just going through old shit to get rid of, my wife always tries to get rid of the horse. And I'm just like, no, you can't. I don't care if she doesn't, because it's a very ugly horse. And so I get why my wife wants to get rid of it, but I can't do it because it made her so happy in the moment that she needed it most.
That's her lovey.
She
Yeah,
doesn't
I
give a
hear
shit
that.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm
Not
the only
anymore.
one that cares about this horse.
Dude, I feel you.
But now
I feel you though.
now that she has a little more sense of self, like I've explained where the horse came from, and she's kind of on board with me now that she doesn't want to get rid of it. She still doesn't care about it, but
Still didn't want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I feel you.
what's your next one?
My next one is okay. So I have horrible dreams about being haunted. That
Fun.
makes sense. Several of my homes, I'm pretty sure, have been haunted.
Oh yeah, heard about that.
Footsteps the whole nine. Anyway, so I'm laying in bed one time. I'm like semi-conscious, and I feel like I see a shadow person in my doorway of my bedroom. And then I hear my floor creak like 5-6 times, like footsteps. And then my daughter is just screeching at the top of her lungs. And I run in there, and she's got her. They have these little like they're basically a way to keep your bink attached to her sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have for gloves, like those little clips. And that shit was like wrapped around her throat tight. And it was something that had never happened before. We let her sleep with them all the time. That had never happened. And just the weird concurrent events fucking scared the shit out of me. Especially as a dad who is like hyper
Not
aware.
supposed to let your baby sleep with stuffed animals and blankets and pillows. Everyone knows that.
It's
like
none
the
of the
first
above.
page of the dad book.
It's none of the above. It's literally like the little clip cord things they have for their gloves.
Yeah.
It's basically like that.
Oh, I gotcha.
But it's supposed to be kind of detachable. She has used them since she was 3 months old till she was 15 months old when it happened, or 14 months old, but it.
Oh yeah, and that's old enough to like start putting things in the bed anyways.
Right, and I mean the way it worked out is like I woke up out of a dead sleep. I'd had a horrible dream, and I see this figure in my fucking doorway, but I can't move.
Ugh.
And I hear floor creaking, and then my daughter just screaming in pain. So I mean, I don't even know what the fuck happened. I was just in there all of a sudden, and it's like, okay, this shit's wrapped around her throat. That was scary.
Yeah.
I've never felt so helpless in my entire fucking life. That was scary.
There have been times, I can't remember a specific, but I know that it's happened, where they've been screaming at the top of their lungs, and you're just like trying to ask what's going on, what's the problem, and they can't put into words, especially when they're younger, they can't put in the word, and you can't see whatever's causing the problem right away. It's something like they sat on something, or they stepped on something a couple minutes ago, or like a second ago, and now that's just, the pain's just hitting them, but it's not in the general vicinity, or like we'll be out of the room and they walk by a desk and hit their side on the corner of the desk or whatever, and it's just like, and they're screaming, or what happened, and they just keep screaming, and you have no idea what part to touch or hold or anything, and I couldn't imagine waking up from a dead sleep. But I've had that too, not necessarily the shadow people and all of that to go along with it, but where I'm sleeping and I wake up and I'm just hyper aware, and I'm like, something's not right.
Right, dude. You can
most
like
of the time
sense
with
that
me
shit.
that everything is fine. I get up, I walk around the whole house, I look, because in my office I have all this shit up on the walls. Sometimes stuff will fall, like figures will fall over in their case because they weren't stood up well, or I have these Batmobiles that are command stripped to the wall, that because it's so hot here, the command strip doesn't always hold up, and it falls sometimes. Yeah. So those will fall sometimes, and those will usually be the things that wake me up. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not lucid enough to like, I just walk in here and make sure there's not a murderer in here, and
right.
Then 3 days later, I see something's fallen, and I've been like, oh, that's what it was. Okay, cool.
Happens to me all the time.
But yeah, did you have, this is another good for prospective parents, first night when you're still in the hospital, every little sound, you are just super hyper aware of every little sound they're making while you're trying to sleep. You will sleep, but if they make a sound, you're up immediately. Did you have that?
No, man. I was fucking conked because I was up for like 32 hours.
We didn't have that.
Straight.
Our labor, I won't say that it was easy because I wasn't a part of that, but it was methodical. We got there when we were supposed to get there. It took the amount of time that it should have taken. Everything went according to plan, I guess would be the way to say it.
My wife wasn't going into labor, and we went to the hospital. We went to our scheduled doctor's appointment, and the doctor was like, baby's ready. Do you want to have a baby today? And it's like, I guess. Like, okay.
No. We'll come back tomorrow, but we can't do it
right. We'll figure this out tomorrow. And then we went to the hospital. She had to take some medicine, and then, fucking it felt like 30 hours later, Aria came along.
I mean, it was early. I want to say it was like 1:30 in the morning when we left the house the first time, and the hospital's probably like 40 minutes away. We had one closer, but we specifically went to the further one away because they had a NICU, and so we wanted to be there. Yeah, it was a better hospital, and it was fine because we weren't in a rush. But we got there before she was technically far enough along, so we had to do the whole like walk around for 45 minutes before you actually go in, get your room. But we caught up, or at least I did. I won't speak for my wife here, but caught up on that sleep that we should have been getting that night before she was really intensely in labor. But the next night, every little normal coo or rattle or just kind of little shift movement, we were just immediately both up. Is she okay? Is she okay? What's going on? Why is she doing that? Why is she making that completely normal sound? And that lasted, I would say, probably about 2 weeks because we had the video monitor and everything. So, and we had it really close to her bed, the microphone really close to her bed, so we could make sure we heard it. And it was just every little thing would keep us right on edge. So it was really hard. It's hard to just fully sleep in those first few weeks until you realize that some of those noises are the normal noises and which ones aren't, and which ones you need to pay attention to.
Right, it's like having reps in a sport.
Right.
You know, you shoot so many free throws, so many 3-point shots, you
You
run
just
so
know
many
what it feels
plays.
like. Yeah, you know what it feels like when
Right.
you're ready to do it.
It's muscle memory. I'm the hardest sleeper you have ever met.
I'm not.
Dude, I can sleep through. My wife is not. She will wake up. Literally, me saying my wife is not. She probably just woke up right now. I
Yeah.
bet. Fucking, I'm 25 feet from her, and she's like, "Huh? What? What?" But
I
I
sleep
sleep
heavier
through everything.
now because I think uh, lack of sleep has caught up to me more. So when
Yes,
I
dude,
get to sleep,
100%,
I'm
man,
out.
100%.
But in the past, before, I was a very light sleeper. Every little noise would wake me up, which is weird because I have to fall asleep with the TV on. The TV doesn't bother me, but because I'll put the sleep timer on. After the sleep timer's off, the TV's off, any little noise will pop me up right away.
100%.
So along the lines of sleep, my second horror story comes, and it's not a specific story. It's more like several months of an issue. My youngest daughter, she had trouble sleeping. And the problem with her
Mm-hmm.
was she had acid reflux that we didn't know about. But a lot of times she would eat and throw up right away. And we just thought, well, maybe we're feeding her too much. So we'd try and feed her less. But then she would cry because she wasn't getting enough. So we'd feed her a normal amount. And then she'd throw up some of it every single time. Uh, and it it took, whatever, 4 months to get enough information to the doctor that he thought he realized what was going on.
It's
Um,
such a pain in the ass too.
Yeah,
That
and
whole
well, but
process.
she was full, she was gaining weight, everything was fine other than that, and other than that she had trouble sleeping. And so once she was asleep, she was fine, but it was terrible trying to get her to sleep. Um,
Fucking fight,
we
man.
had our first daughter, if we put her in the little automated rocker, she'd be out in like 10 seconds. So we tried that
Same.
with her, wouldn't work. We tried music, didn't work. Our first daughter, she liked to have the sound of a heart. We had heard that the sound of a heartbeat helps babies fall asleep sometimes. So we got like on one of our phones, just found this YouTube video of heartbeat sounds. Played that. Wasn't
For like
working.
15 hours.
Um, so I did a lot of walking back and forth in the stroller or carrying her, kind of bouncing her, just trying to get her, to feel, because she would always fall asleep in the car, and if a nice long
Mm-hmm.
walk in the stroller would get her. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a kind of long hallway that stretches in front of our kitchen from one living room to our front door. So I just walk back and forth with the stroller, and sometimes it would work, sometimes it wasn't. But one thing I found would work is we have a single hall light in there. So if I would leave that on, it would force when she'd go under the light, she would close her eyes because it was dark on both ends. So when she'd go under the light, she'd close her eyes, and eventually she would fall asleep because she had to close her eyes. She had to blink every time she went under the light. So I'd kind of go slower under the light sometimes, so she kept her eyes, and then eventually she would fall asleep. All that while I had this little rattle toy that I'd have to shake the whole time so she could hear that. Um, and there were some nights where that stuff wasn't working, and I'd walk her around the neighborhood for like 20 minutes, and she'd usually be out. But you had to be very careful if you moved her from the stroller to either the swing or the crib, because she could wake up then too. And if she would wake up a little bit and you're putting her in the crib, then you got to keep your hand on her in the crib until she's all the way asleep. And like I had so much back trouble right then. That was at the height of my back problems, was when in her first 6 months of life, because I hadn't figured out what was
Not a good
causing it
time.
yet.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't figured out fully what was causing it. I had terrible headaches all the time. And I found out shortly after that what the cause was and started actually working on it. And I'm doing a lot better now. But like I'm having to lean over her crib with my hand in it. I'm walking back and forth, constantly hunched over the stroller. She constantly needed sound of rain was good, or just music, like lullaby music. Constant rocking, walking around the neighborhood, everything like that. It was just impossible. And then once the doctor kind of figured she had acid reflux, he gave us, the children's acid reflux medicine, and we gave her that like 2-3 times a day, whatever the prescribed dosage was, and she was much better at falling. It still took some work, but she was much better at falling asleep.
Yeah. Once you figure it out, dude, oh god,
Because
it's
what
like
would happen is when she would lay down, all of that the reflux would cause stomach problems for her, so
right.
she wouldn't ever be comfortable.
Yeah. My kid had a little bit of that. Nothing as bad as you, but yeah, she definitely had a little bit.
All right. You got another, did you have another half story?
I think I'm gonna skip the half story because it's mostly just in conjunction with it was dreamy shit.
Yeah.
Just you have weird ass dreams all the time.
Yes. Yeah, you have weird dreams where weird things are going on in relation to your kids. And then you wake up and you're worried that those things are happening to your kids in real life.
Right. You're like, and I'm gonna double check 100 times that her window is actually closed.
Yep. I'm gonna tell my last one because it should be really quick. It happened a few days ago, and I think it's more funny than horrific. So I pick her up from school, and she's got to go to the bathroom. And there's a gas station close by. It's a pretty nice, cleanly gas station for the most part. It's a racetrack gas station, if any of you know what the racetracks are.
I don't, but it sounds like, yeah,
it's kind of like,
go make a bet.
I don't know if they have them in Illinois, but I know they have them in Wisconsin, the Quick Trips.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a little bit nicer, or Wawa's in the Northeast. A little bit nicer. So we went in, and she wanted frozen yogurt because they have a frozen yogurt with all the toppings, all that in there, because this is kind of a nice setup gas station. The problem was we couldn't do frozen yogurt because I didn't want her to have it in the car, and it wouldn't have been fair. We had to go pick up her sister next from her grandma's, and it wouldn't have been fair to her to have the ice cream. So I tried to talk her into a slushie because she had wanted a slushie a couple days ago, and I was like, we can get a slushie. You can have that in the car. That's easy. I can get a slushie for your sister and just give it to her when we get there. No problem. Or you can get a candy bar. Or third option, we pick up your sister and then go to the real frozen yogurt place, not a gas station frozen yogurt place, after we have a sister. So then it's fair for everyone. She was just not having any of it. And I knew she wasn't going to have any of it. She wasn't going to give in. She wasn't understanding what I was saying about the other frozen yogurt place. So I tried to pull the dad move and say, well, we're just going to leave if you can't make any of these three choices. They're three very solid choices. Her negotiation was that we go pick up her sister and then return to the gas station for the frozen yogurt. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I want to go to the real frozen yogurt place where it's cleaner and nicer.
Right.
I don't know how often they clean the gas station frozen yogurt station. I know how clean the other place is because we were just there a couple weeks ago.
Probably not often.
So I pulled the dad move, said we're just leaving. I go to pick her up and just carry her out because she's not having it. And she just starts screaming, no, 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 I don't want to go. And so if you've never been a dad alone with your daughter in a restaurant or a public place of any sort, you should know that it's super frowned upon for a man to pick up a 6-year-old girl and drag her out of a store while she's screaming, no, 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 I don't want to go. Especially a man with kind of like a scruffy, not fully shaven face, kind of messy hair because it's pandemic and I'm not fully into grooming right now.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's really not a good thing. So I just put her down immediately. We kept working through the frozen yogurt thing. It probably took us 5 more minutes to get to the point where she understands. We ended up going to the other place after picking up her sister. But once we got in the car, I was like, all right, I need to talk to you. And that's if I pick you up like that, you can't scream, no, 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 I don't want to go. Because some stranger is going to call the police because it looks like I'm trying to kidnap you. And she's like, oh, okay. Because
that makes sense.
She's fully aware of being taken. I don't know where she got the idea of being taken from, but anytime we've gone somewhere and I get her out of the car and I'm like, okay, just stand there for a second. I got to go around to the other side and get your sister. I say, if anything happens, just scream. And she's like, okay. And then she eventually started going, like, if I'm taken or something, I'm like, yeah, I don't know where you got that thought, but yes, if somebody tries to do something, just scream at the top of your lungs. Same thing,
super loud.
If they're playing outside and I have to walk in for a second to grab something, I just go, Em, you know what to do if something goes on out here, just scream. And she goes like this, and she starts doing it. I'm like, yes, perfect, great.
So yeah.
So she fully understood where the you can't do that was coming from.
Kids are weird, dude. They're fucking weird.
All right, so let's go quick fire 3 biggest pieces of advice for prospective fathers. Or mothers.
Dude, for prospective parents.
Yes.
Number 1, be present. I think we both talked about this a lot.
Yep.
Be present in mind, body, soul.
Yep. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna we'll go back and forth real quick because mine ties right to that. I'm gonna piggyback on it. Take a genuine interest in the kids in the things your kids are interested in. It's super easy to do. Don't complain that they like stupid things. Just take the time to actually learn about them. You may end up creating a real actual bond with them if you do this. I know more
Right,
about
you'll have
Barbies.
fun.
I know more about Barbies and Disney princesses than I ever thought I would. And it's totally cool because I can have real conversations with my daughters. I can talk intelligently about it with them. And that's something that they like. They feel like I'm having a real conversation, not they're just going on this rant about whatever the hell Barbie's up to in her latest movie. And I'm going, oh, all right, cool. No, like I talk to her. I go, oh, so Stacy's doing this, but Chelsea has this idea. I know all the Barbie people. I'm ready to go. I got it. Um, the other bonus here is if you take an interest in it, you can then convince them to like the things that you like because they'll
Oh
trust
yeah.
your opinions because they made this decision that they like this thing and they think you like it. So now when you say you like something, they'll go, well, maybe I'll like that too. We both like Barbies. Maybe we'll both like Star Wars. That's how it works.
And
And then you
then
share actual interests
right,
rather than
if
just
you can
rolling your eyes every time they speak to you.
that's just not being a good parent, man. Well, some people will disagree and be like, "Fuck you! How are you gonna tell me what is and is not a good
I
parent?"
just
But I think
did.
showing it a genuine interest in your child's life is part of the fucking deal. Like my kid, dude, she's not even 2. You know how it is. She loves taking her shoes off and
Yep.
putting them back on.
Yep.
But you know what? I'll make a game out of that.
Grabbing things out of boxes and putting them back in. Greatest game for a
Dude,
2-year-old ever.
she thinks she's the fucking shit, and you know what? I'm there. I support it.
And you know how easy it is to like just be like, wow, way to go, you did it that time. Super
Right.
easy.
I mean, it takes literally zero effort, and
And it
how
means
excited she
everything to
gets
them.
is
Right.
right. It's worth it.
And they move on very quickly from the things they like. So we really enjoyed when they were into Sesame Street because Sesame Street is dope. Teach you good lessons, got some sweet puppet action going on, really good songs. Sesame Street's fun. We really enjoyed it. They moved so quickly through. Our older daughter liked Sesame Street for probably 4 years, since she was 1 to 5. But our younger girl, she didn't like it that much. She liked it, but she moved through it pretty quickly. And now they've both moved on from it. And we're just like, shit, we want some more Sesame Street. Every once in a while, we're like, hey, let's watch Sesame Street, and they'll be in for it, and it's great.
And then the other times they're like, yeah, fuck off, loser.
No, we're gonna watch this girl on YouTube who plays with little Frozen dolls.
That's what I watch every day.
I I like the idea of those videos. This girl just has the most annoying voice. That's my problem with it. I don't have a problem with like because it's taught my older daughter just leaps and bounds of how to play pretend and how to create these games and how to build these worlds, and she's going to be a magnificent storyteller, and she has this whole idea of Magic Land in her head. That's a real place that before she was born she was in Magic Land and you could do this and that and other things, and I so bad want her to be able to learn to write so she can start writing these things down, because I already missed the boat on it and didn't write them down as she was telling me all these different details of Magic Land, and I wish I had, because that like she could build a legitimate children's story out of what she thinks this Magic Land is and what she's made up for it. And that's just going to continue, and I want to encourage that creativity and that world building within her head. So yeah, I'm excited for when she can write because she's gonna write a fucking awesome story.
Right, and you'll be there like, hey, I don't know if you remember ever talking to me about this, but there's
Oh, she
this
remembers
idea.
everything about. So that's the problem I'm at right now. She remembers everything she's ever told me, but I can't prompt it and then like start typing on my phone, or if I'm writing, she'll catch me and she'll be like, "Why are you writing that down? You can't write about Magic Land. What if somebody reads it? Magic Land's supposed to be a secret." So I'm in this very weird place that because I didn't start it right away, I can't just start jotting the things down now, and I've missed so much that I didn't write down right away that I don't have a fully realized world if I try to.
Ain't that a bitch?
All right, number 2.
Number 2, support your partner. We
Yes.
talked this one to fucking death. Support your partner.
Yeah.
Number 3.
That was my third one. It was take time for yourself and for you and your partner. We don't do a good job at this, a good enough job at it. Like I said before, we've been doing better, making some arrangements. She needs like socialization and being around people. I need alone time, so we've been working through that. What we're really bad at right now is making time together. And that kind of sneaks up on us sometimes. We start bickering over just absolute nonsense because
Right.
we don't feel like we ever have time to talk as adults. So we just start snapping at each other, trying to get our point across quickly. And that just escalates, and it's not ever a good thing. We're trying to do better. We're trying to catch it in ourselves. We're starting to recognize it when it's happening and when we kind of need to take that time. But the pandemic makes this super hard.
Well, I mean, recognizing the fact is a big part of it.
Yes.
And the pandemic is not fucking. This will not be the rest of our lives, but it's
No,
still
and
fucking hard in the meantime.
it's just very hard to not feel with two kids who can talk and who have very specific needs that they can't completely meet themselves right now. It is very hard to have a real conversation and to just get even 20 minutes to talk. And then once they're in bed, it's like, okay, we're exhausted. We don't want to have this conversation anymore. So that's our constant struggle. Is it's very hard, and having the sleepovers at grandma's has helped a lot with that too.
Oh, dude, I bet. I fucking bet.
Okay, what's your third one?
Keep calm and dad on. Fucking have
good.
confidence in yourself. Be a
Nice and snappy.
Dude, if you want to be a good dad, it's easy to be a good dad. It requires a lot of work. Yeah. And focus.
But it takes all the things
shit.
we said. It's not hard. It's just you have to pay attention and make sure you're doing it.
Right. I mean, it's hard in a compounded sense when you put it all together. Yeah, it's fucking hard.
And every once in a while, throwing an M&M.
What's that?
Every once in a while, throwing an M&M.
It makes life so much easier. That was a big mistake of mine, though, is give my kid M&Ms, because now she loves them like a crackhead.
Well, so M&Ms are good because they're small, and you can give varying degrees of amounts of M&Ms. If you just need them to be quiet for like 3 minutes so you can finish something, one M&M.
You get one. My kid would be so pissed she'd throw a fucking remote.
No, you eat your whole dinner, 4 M&Ms. Now they get like a little.
Calvin's on. He's got the numbers down and everything.
We got a whole M&M scale. Not really. My last
M&M scheme.
Yeah.
You mean?
My last one was speak to and reason with your kids like they're people, not babies. And it doesn't
That's
have to go.
That's a fucking great one.
You don't have to go full have adult conversations with them, but make the world make sense to them. Don't goo goo gaga the shit out of them. That was something that bothered me more than anything. We always just spoke as we're having a normal conversation. We didn't like try to convey huge general ideas to them, but we spoke like you and I are speaking. And our kids
philosophy.
No, our kids picked up on that. They both started speaking very early and very easily, and they use words and phrases that are beyond their years, and they think beyond their years because that's what they've modeled after us. Is that's how we constantly speak. And we have some friends, family members who don't do that, and still they're 4 and 6 now, so baby talk should be out the window anyways, and they still do it from time to time. It's just like, what the fuck are you talking to my kid like that? Like,
yeah,
she's a person.
Me off.
she
knows what
she's
you're
not
saying.
A dog, because that's what it sounds like, is you're talking to a dog who doesn't actually understand the words you're saying.
Right, and they feel all condescending.
Yes,
and
it feels condescending to listen to. That's exactly what it is, rather than just being like, the difference is, hey, do you want an M&M versus, ooh, do you like M&M? They want the M&M? M&M? Like, that's bullshit.
No, fuck that shit, man. Just talk to.
Do you want an M&M?
Talk to your children. That's a fantastic.
Not going the next step of, have you ever thought about what it would be like to have an M&M versus having a Skittle, and weigh the options and the pros and cons of M&Ms versus Skittles?
Yeah, you're just in for disappointment there. For
We're not trying to make them smart. We just want them. It clearly helped their development in speaking and reasoning.
Well, and I think at the same time, here's another little, let's call it an addendum, is keeping to your word. So it's like, listen, if you lay on your back in the bath and I get to clean your hair, then we'll be done. That's it. No more cleaning. We'll get out of the bath.
Right.
And you better fucking get out of that bath the second you finish cleaning her hair.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is for me. Is, I reason with my daughter.
Yes.
She knows what I'm saying. She's not 2. She can't spell it out.
Talking and baby talk does not help them understand anything. It makes it harder, because on TV, when you're having conversations with other people, everything else, you're talking like a normal person, and the only time you're talking differently is to them, And it actually makes it harder for them to understand because now all of a sudden there's this different cadence, there's this different voice, and it doesn't make sense where everything else they've seen has been a normal voice, normal cadence, normal speech patterns, and now all of a sudden there's this weird other thing going on. So it's more confusing. It's almost like you started speaking Spanish all of a sudden only when you're talking to the kid.
They're just like, the fuck?
All right, give me one great story, favorite moment of being a dad.
Honestly, is probably her first word was being dada.
Nice.
You know, she finally strung it together. I couldn't tell you the minutia of it, but I just remember I had gotten off work. I hated my job at the time. It was a fucking drag, and she dropped her first word, and it was tight.
Nice.
And that was my, like, all-time favorite moment of being a dad.
I don't know that I could tell you first words for either of my kids. They were probably mama, but for both of them. Yeah, so that's something I'm bad at, is remembering specific detail. I can remember these moments and the way I felt doing things and things like that, but just very specific. I remember, the only reason I remember when my older daughter walked for the first time is because we take video of everything, and we recently watched it, and I knew it was in October. That's all I know.
Thank God for cell phones, man. That helps make life a little easier.
Mine is, we do family movie night. Again, I alluded to this last week on Teen Movie Superlatives. But on top of just watching the movies and we all get to pick one, I like to kind of have these conversations with them after the movies, if they liked or disliked it. The answer is they always liked it. Well, 6-year-old, she always likes it. Doesn't matter what it is. 4-year-old, if she stays awake for the whole thing, she likes it. If she doesn't stay awake for the whole thing, or there's one particular part that scares her, then she doesn't like it. But I go into specifics about what they like and don't like, and they can usually make some good, well thought out points, better than some movie podcasts I've listened to, I would say.
That's pitiful.
Shots fired at you movie podcasts. I don't really listen to that many movie podcasts, so. And I like, because we all get to pick, we get to watch all these different types of movies together. Like the 4-year-old likes certain types of movies. The 6-year-old likes different types of movies. She always tries to get it like a Barbie movie or whatever's colorful, things like that. And then my wife and I are always trying to sneak in these other things that we know they'll like, but they never go out and pick on their own. So we always get mostly cartoons, but always different types of cartoons for now.
Just try to expand their worldview.
Yeah, we're going to do, so it's 4-year-old's turn to pick this week. She's going to pick The Croods because she saw it on Netflix last week when we were scrolling through looking for the 6-year-old's movie, which she picked Woody Woodpecker, which I can say, do not watch Woody Woodpecker. It's not good.
The Croods is tight.
I've never seen it, so we're going to watch that next week. And then after that, we're going to pick Christmas movies for the next go through of everybody.
Next 4 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll be getting into Elf probably on my turn to pick.
Ruh-roh.
All right, so let's finish it off here. What do you hate and what do you love about being a dad? Hate first, end on love.
Hate is that whole restructuring of my life.
Yep.
That was a pain in the keister, but it needed to be done. It is what it is. But in regards to what I love is those quiet moments with your kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's something that's something that only two of you share. And for me, it's picking my kid up and dropping her off at daycare every day, because I do it every day. So it's something where I get those quiet moments on the way there. We sing together and all that shit. And, on the way home, when she's being brought up to me, she's just so fucking excited, screaming and all that stuff. And it's just a good time.
I usually pick them both up, my daughter from school and the younger one from grandma's. So I always get like the good 20 minutes with the older one between school and grandma's, and we'll listen to Curious Kid podcast, where she'll tell me about school, all this other stuff. And then the 4-year-old, sometimes she's in a really sometimes she doesn't want to say anything, and she falls asleep in about 4 minutes when she's in the car. Other times she's just talking up a storm about what she did at grandma's and all this other stuff, and that's always great. I'm with you on the hate side of it. Nothing directly with my kids. There's not anything they could do. They're absolutely awesome. I don't like how difficult time management has become.
It's so difficult, dude.
That's always been one of the things that's triggered my anxiety. I've always been very punctual, and most of the time I'm prepared early because of that. And even when I try and be fashionably late, like somebody's having a party and we're meeting somewhere at 8, I'd still show up at 7. I would try to show up at 8:15, but I'd still be there at like 8:01 before anybody's actually there. So I'd be late in my mind, but nobody else is there because I'm the doofus that came early. Uh, and it's just absolutely impossible to do that with 2 kids. No matter how much you plan ahead, something's going to change or go awry during the actual prep of getting from I'm dressed to out the door. Something's going to go wrong.
Dude, that is 100% correct. Same routine every day. I'm still late to daycare.
Yeah, exactly. If I feel like we're late for something, even if being late doesn't matter, I get very anxious. I start freaking out. I'm wondering what's taking everybody so long, and it doesn't even matter. But it's just this thing in my head where I can't be late. Even with meetings, my boss and the other guy who's like in on the same level as me, they right before the pandemic, they would start taking bets. I don't think there was ever any money on the line of when I would show up, because it's usually if the meeting's at 9, I'm there at 9. And I could try and be early, I could try and be late. It doesn't matter. I'm showing up at 9. It's like George Michael in Arrested Development. My internal clock is just on point, and if my kids aren't around, it's very easy for me to be on time, but that doesn't occur at all. And the pandemic hasn't helped that either, because just by extension, our schedules keep changing, and every time a schedule changes, I try to make all of these decisions for every possible scenario that could arise, and it's impossible. And it usually results in at least one completely lost night of sleep, where I'm vigorously writing out schedules and different versions of how each person can do everything, and we can make it work. And then by the end of the night, I've realized, what am I freaking out about? Let's just go through the week. There's nothing I have going on this week that's that important if I'm doing it on time. Let's just figure it out as we go. And I've calmed myself down by the end of the night, but it's still usually a long time in at least one night where I just can't focus and have to figure out everyone's schedule. It's terrible.
Right. I mean, I spend hours fucking going over the little things, but in the end, it's like, yeah, we're just going to let that ride and see how it goes.
And it's like, okay, if I got to get her to school at 9, and then I've got to get however much work I need to do, and I've got to exercise, and I want to play a game of Madden, and I got to eat lunch, and I got to do this, and then I got to go pick her up. How do I get all of that in a day? And you
fucking eat and play Madden and work out.
I did that today. Not with the working out, just eating and maddening.
I mean, that's where it's at, bro.
But I mean, it all works out just fine. Once we're into the schedule, it's like, why was I freaking out about this?
Well, once you make the conscious choice, it's just like, yo, I gotta do this. It kind of
and you figure out the priorities, and it's like, okay, I don't have to get a game of Madden in, obviously, but that's something I want to do that helps me cool down. I need to find some time for that sometime, but I need to figure out how to prioritize the other things too.
Right, maybe that sometime is not right now.
Right. So my favorite thing, I liked what you said about the quiet moments. That's great. Mine is always realizing that they've learned something. It's amazing how much they pick up without ever being outright taught that thing. So anytime I can see that they've actually learned something new, I'm just awestruck by it. That somehow this thing that they had no idea about yesterday, now they can tell me everything they've like in the world about it, and it's great. And that was always my thing, even when they were babies, and they were learning a lot of new things all the time because everything was new. It was great watching those milestones get hit and just working through them, and like it was so amazing to see that they've accomplished something.
Well, definitely, man. And at the same time, it's, you're sitting there, it's like, well, I didn't teach them that. They learned it from somewhere. Right.
Well, even
but it's fantastic.
On Tuesday when we were all home together, I was in my office working, and I walked out to check on them because I'd finished whatever I was working on. And my 6-year-old, she's just out there writing strings of letters together, trying to make words. And they're just random strings, 3 or 4 letters, nothing big. And so she goes, what is this word? And whatever it was like OLI or something. I was like, that's Ollie. I said, it's not really a word, but that's how it would sound. And so she's just out there writing, like she enjoys learning at her own pace. If we try and force her to do her writing homework or her spelling homework, she kind of pushes back a little bit on it sometimes. But there would just be these quiet moments where she's not doing anything. She'll sit there writing, or she had, when she was doing virtual school, they would go through words every day, and they were supposed to kind of note some way the words that they didn't know. They would do sight words. So these are words that you're supposed to be able to read just by seeing them. They had like 10 of them that they were supposed to learn in that 9 weeks. And she had this running piece of paper where if she didn't know it, she would write it down, and she just had this piece of paper where she'd have all these words, and then eventually she'd cross them off, or she'd highlight them as she learned them. And like it was just the cool. Nobody told her to do that. That was just her way of remembering, and it's cool to see her work in those little things.
Kid sounds legit, dude.
Well, and then my younger daughter, she is fucking physically, she can figure anything, how to do things. We've never taught her how to play soccer, or even showed her soccer as like a thing. If you put a soccer ball in front of her, she can dribble it like she's fucking Pele, and she kicks it, and she kicks it towards a goal if we put a goal out. And just anything, any physical motor skills, she picks up almost immediately. Of, here's a ball, here's a paddle, you're supposed to hit the ball with the paddle, and you show her one time, she picks that shit up and she can do it.
Fuck, crazy. I wish I could do that shit.
Yeah. Well, that's always how I was in like middle school and high school. I could, with sports, if you showed me a new sport, I could usually figure it out and be better than the other people who also just learned it. So I remember in like junior year, we'd be in PE class. We did shit like lacrosse and field hockey. There's things that no one ever played before. We're all holding a lacrosse stick for the first time. And by the end of the first 20 minutes of class, when they're showing you the basics, I understood it better than everybody else and could be better at the sport than everybody else. Now, given time, my skills will average out, and other people could be definitely more talented than I was. But that's always been something that I could pick up pretty much any sport almost immediately.
I wish, dude. Yeah, I was the workout warrior,
except
man. I
soccer.
Had to really try.
Except soccer.
Yeah,
soccer I could
soccer.
never do because my feet just don't work that way.
I'm a clumsy motherfucker.
Hand-eye coordination, I'm fine. When my feet are involved and I have to actually kick to a specific place, I can't do it.
Yeah, I look like an ape. Like a fucking idiot.
You got anything else on being a father?
I don't.
Good.
Other than it's fucking
hours.
tight. It has been 2 hours. I can't believe we went 2 hours.
When you've been a father this long, you take time to take 2 hours to talk about it, because you don't talk about it any other time. Because nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants to ask you, hey, what's it like being a dad? Nobody wants that information.
It's like, well, here you go. I'm about to tell you the entirety of it.
Now, if somebody asks me, I'll be like, hey, you got 2 hours? Listen to this podcast. I already talked about it.
You can break it up. It's easy peasy.
Check us out on Twitter at APA something at alone_podcast for all great dad tips. That's all we share on Twitter.
I mean, that's the name of our podcast now.
Dad Tips.
Is a podcast about dad tips.
Yep. All the music for a podcast about something is provided by Those Cats.
You gotta stay sassy.
Stay classy.